Hello, this is Algebra 1, topic 6-3 over functions. And usually when we talk about functions, we talk about functions as relations with input values, that's the domain, and output values, that's the range. So imagine we've got a machine, we put in our domain, it runs through our rule and comes out our range. So I'm just going to replace this x with each of these numbers. So 2 times -1 plus 3, 2 times 0 plus 3, and 2 times 1 plus 3. Well, that's -2 plus 3 is a positive 1. 0 plus 3 is 3, and 2 plus 3 is 5. And so my domain is 1, 3, and 5. Making my ordered pairs, -1, 1, 0, 3, and 1, 5. And so when we're talking about functions, this is usually what we're talking about, is we have a specific rule that we apply to our domain in order to get our range. Now, a lot of times you'll see functions written in function notation. Okay? And it says something like this: f of x equals 2x plus 3. What you can remember is you can think of this as y equals 2x plus 3. Because f of x equals y. The same thing. Alright, don't let it confuse you when they say f of x. They're just naming the function. And so if we want to find f of -1, this is saying that my x value is -1. So I'm going to replace the x with -1. So let's go ahead and do this here. I'm going to work this out. And so I'm going to replace the x with my first value. So -2 squared minus 3. I'm going to do it again. 0 squared minus 3. And then 2 squared minus 3. And 4 squared minus 3. Well, -2 squared is 4, and 4 minus 3 is 1. 0 squared is 0 minus 3 is a -3. 2 squared is 4 minus 3 is 1. And 4 squared is 16 minus 3 is 13. So my range is -3, 1, and 13. Or in this case, we want to write this in the order that it's given: 1, -3, 1, and 13. This way I can see that the -2 goes with the 1, the 0 with the -3, the 2 with the 1, and the 4 with the 13. Let's go ahead and look at example number 3. We'll do the same thing. We're replacing this x with these numbers. So we have -2 times -4 minus 4. -2 times -1 minus 4. -2 times 2 minus 4. And -2 times 6 minus 4. Well, this is -8 minus 4 is a -12. Sorry, this is a... almost messed that up. This would be a +8 minus 4 is 4. +2 minus 4 is a -2. -4 minus 4 is a -8. And -12 minus 4 is a -16. And so my range is 4, -2, -8, and -16. Let's go ahead and move on to example number 4. Here, they've given us a function. And so if they say h of 6, well, I come over here, and h of 6 gives me 12. H of negative 2 comes over here and gives me 6. And h of 8 comes over here and gives me 14. All I had to do was look up the x value, and it points directly to my y value. So those are very simple. Let's go ahead and move on to our next example. Here they've said that f of x is this, and g of x is that. And what they're saying is I have two different functions that I've named f and g. I'm going to ask you some questions. Sometimes I want f, sometimes I want g, and sometimes I want both. Well, number 5 wants f. So I rewrite it 2 minus 3, and I replace the x with what I see in here. Well, 2 minus 3 times negative 2 would be 2 minus 6 is negative 4. Actually, this would be positive. Negative and negative make positive, so 2 plus 6 makes 8. This is what happens when I get in a hurry. And don't double check my answers. Well, g of 5 means that I'm going to use g. So 2, replace the x with 5. And so 2 times 5 squared minus 1 gives me 49. And now this says I want f of 4 plus g of negative 1. So I'm going to start by writing what f is. Well, f is 2 minus 3 times 4 plus, now I'm going to move on to g, and g says 2x squared minus 1, but instead of x, I'm going to put negative 1. Notice that this is f, and this is g. And I need to do f first, and then I need to do g, and then I need to add them. So 2 minus 3 times 4 gives me negative 10. And then 2 times negative 1 squared minus 1 gives me negative 3. This came from f. That came from g. And it equals a negative 13. Hold on. This is not negative 3. 2 minus 1 is 1. 2 times negative 1 squared. 2 times negative 1 squared minus 1 is 1. And negative 10 plus 1 is negative 9. Make sure that you include the negative 1 in parentheses before you square it. That was the error I made earlier, was I forgot to do that. But it's very important that you do f and then g and then combine them, because if this was a minus, that would have completely changed your result. Let's look at our last example. This is just review. We need to find our domain and range. So our domain, the smallest value is negative 3, and the largest value is a positive 3. Domain means x, so x goes in the middle. And then we look. This one is closed, and so it gets the bar. This one is open. It does not get the bar. And now for my range, well, my smallest is again negative 3. My largest is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. y is in the middle. And now my small value is open, so it gets no bar. My big one is closed, and so it does get the bar. So mostly this assignment is about figuring out your range given the domain and being able to correctly use function notation. Good luck on your assignment. Have a good day.